Yeah, and it's such a good question because in my personal life, I'm like that. I'm a ball of anxiety that needs to have all control for at least my life at all times. So when that bleeds into work, it's scary, especially as a director and a leader on my team. There are young folk that also were like, what's going to happen? Am I going to lose my job? What's next? And especially we're on a revenue generating team, so even more so, what happens if we can't bring in deals, if partners don't want to sign because they don't know if we're even going to start on time or if they'll get the most value in their asset.
Hey everyone, it is Tony Will. Oh my gosh, you all are in for a treat today on Women In, and I cannot wait for you to meet my next guest. But before you meet her, let me tell you what you're listening to. Women In is a podcast that celebrates women from all walks of life and the people who uplift them. Each episode features incredible voices from my world, sharing stories that spark inspiration, challenge the status quo, and remind us that empowering women empowers everyone. This is a bold, curious, and uncensored space where disruption is welcome, forward thinking is encouraged, and change is the goal. I'm passionate about breaking down barriers, not just for us, but for the next generations. Whether our paths cross professionally or personally, these conversations matter. Let's dive in and celebrate the power of connection, growth, and the people who are shaping our world. And this woman is definitely one of them. Marisa Ferrara joined the Chicago Sky in January of 2024 as a corporate partnerships manager and now serves as the director of partnership activation. Marisa oversees all current partner fulfillment, specializing in experiential brand marketing while providing best-in-class service for 50-plus corporate partners. With nearly a decade of experience in professional sports and college athletics, Marisa recently joined the WISE Chicago board as the WISE Within chair to help other young professionals excel in their career journeys. You might also recognize Marisa as a member of the Sports Business Journal Leaders Chicago cohort. Marisa is relocated to the Windy City to join the corporate partnership strategy team as an activation specialist at the Chicago Cubs. Before that, she had her boots strapped in Dallas, Texas, while activating sports partnership for American Airlines. She graduated from Slippery Rock University in 3 years with the BS in Sports Management Communications minor. She also received her MS in Sports Management from West Virginia University. Marisa's expertise includes partnership marketing, client services, and strategic brand integration. She also has niche experience in managing influencer campaigns for sports partnerships. My goodness, Marisa, what don't you do?
A lot. enough to keep me busy, that's for sure.
Oh, well, it's so cool to have you on Women In. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, tell everyone how you and I met.
We met at the National Sports Forum in February 2026. It was my first National Sports Forum. I was brought in by one of the OGs, Will Idom, one of my favorites. He pretty much forced me to do it in a positive and encouraging way, of course, but said, I think you should do this and you'll fit right in. And I was a little nervous. I was leading one of the sessions, so we co-led the WNBA MBA session just for folks that work in those two leagues. But it was awesome. Great experience. NSF is a little bit of a family cult, but I loved every second of it. I feel like once you're in NSF, you don't get out. Y'all are a close-knit group, but it was an awesome time. I met a lot of cool people, learned a lot of awesome stuff, and brought that back to Chicago. So it was awesome. And then I got the pleasure of listening to you do a live episode of the podcast, which was so cool. And I just love badass women that have badass conversations. So that was exactly where I needed to be, and it came at a perfect time. So now here we are.
We are. I reached out to you and I said, I'd love to have you on the podcast. And you were like, yeah, heck yeah. And here we are. We're in summer now, but whatever. It's just how it goes. Yep. And for anyone wondering what NSF is, it's the National Sports Forum. And it's a conference I've been going to, I'm 12 years in. So I think at least 11 years. And it's changed a lot. I mean, one of the things as you know, I'm really passionate about is lifting women up. And this podcast spawned from me coming back from the sports forum. I don't remember what year it was. And I'm like, we got to keep talking about women's stories and sports. And then I was like, oh, I want it bigger than sports because we're more than just our occupation. So let's talk about sports because your bio is chock full of it. I mean, it's what you went to school for. So what was your interest in sports? What's your background with it? Why did you want to get a degree in it?
Yeah, it's a great question. For the majority of my life, I thought I was going to be a wedding planner. And when I was heartbroken my senior year of high school, I said, that's it. We're changing courses. This isn't going to work. And at the time, I was a huge minor league sports fan, actually. I'm from Rochester, New York, and there's a minor league baseball team out there. And they did an Explorer program through the Boy Scouts of America in which you could learn all of the back of house stuff around the front office. And if you know one thing about me, you know I don't like being told no and that I can't do something just because I'm a girl, and that wasn't going to fly with me. So I went in front of the district troop managers and pled my case, and one troop chose me to be an honorary member so I could do a behind the scenes deep dive of the Rochester Red Wings, and I fell in love immediately. I turned from a lifelong childhood passion with my family to this is where I'm meant to be, and I pursued sports in college from then on out, and I never looked back. So it's just been a lot of jumping around from org to org, sport to sport, trying to figure out exactly what my niche was, because I liked a lot of things. I liked to be involved in as much as I could, but I wanted to find a lane and master it, make it mine. So my college experience was filled doing just that, and I landed in partnerships, and here we are.
And so let's talk about partnerships, because I've had several guests on the podcast in varying roles in sports, but I don't know if I think about this will be hard. I'd be sitting here for a while, but I don't know that we've talked about partnerships much. So let's dive into that, because I too, as part of my role in minor league hockey, I've sold partnerships for the last 12 years. A small part. I just handle about 10, or maybe more than that. It doesn't matter, 10 to 20 accounts. But talk about why partnerships. When you say, yeah, I tried everything out, which is the best thing about sports, because you can get on the creative side, you can get on the sales side, you could sell tickets, you could sell partnerships. So kind of explain more about what your role is and why that was the space you're like, yep, this is where I'm going to become an expert.
Yeah, and to that point, you can fit in so many different molds within the industry, and I learned that I liked them all, and I couldn't really pick one. So I chose the one department that really had an intersection of all of the different cross-functional teams in a front office, because we're not only working on behalf of our clients and our brands, but we touch every facet of the organization and find ways that we can meet objectives across the board, and that's something that I really enjoyed. I'm also I'm a people person. I love to talk. I love to work together. I love to collaborate. And this is truly a department within a front office that you kind of rely on everybody to do your job, and you need everyone to buy into what we need to accomplish. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it, the problem solving on behalf of other internal teams or on behalf of our partners, and trying to figure out how we can create really cool, unique shit, for lack of better terms, that really can enhance the fan experience. Because to me, sports, I do it all for the fans and the memories that are made, the memories I have going to sporting events, some of the best ever, even like more personal memories of sports and how I relate them to my family and things like that. It is what brings me the most joy. So I wanted to be in a role that allowed me to touch all of that and not having to pick one lane to stick in. So I found one that kind of meets all those needs.
And you're absolutely right. Partnerships intersects creative and sales, and it is a way to tap into both sides of the brain, right? Mm-hmm. I think the right and the left side. So tell everyone about the team you work for now. Yeah. Just like pretend like they'd have no clue about sports at all. Because some probably don't.
No, and truly, half the people in my life still, I have to explain what I do every single day. It's hilarious. But I work for the Chicago Sky WNBA team, women's professional basketball here in Chicago. We do not have an NBA, National Basketball Association affiliate team, so we are one of the independent teams, which has been very interesting. because a lot of teams get to use the support and resources of some of their counterparts. We are fighting the good fight on our own, which has been a learning curve. It's been a ton of fun. So we have been in existence for 20 seasons. This is our 21st season, 20th year in the league, so we're one of the later ones to join, but it's been incredible. We are celebrating the 30th year of the WNBA, and I would say the W has catapulted in the last 2 years into this huge, huge entity that is taking women's sports by storm, and it is being supported by other women's professional leagues that are following suit. NWSL paved the way for leagues like the W to really thrive. And I explained to people that we are where the NWSL was for 10 years, but so much faster and at a much larger scale, because we're forced to be with everything that we have going on, not only in our climate, but the athletes themselves. It is just a different starting point, I would say, for women's sports right now. So we live in this really cool space where the W is different than a lot of other leagues. There's this intersection of fashion and lifestyle and music and culture that doesn't exist in a lot of sports leagues. So our athletes are phenomenons in that regard. You've got players like Angel Reese paving the way in so many different ways. Asia Wilson being just the best player in the W, in my personal opinion, not professional opinion. And we've got people like Paige Buchers, who's coming out of nowhere, Paige Beckers, absolutely changing the way for young girls in basketball. So it's the best place to work in sports, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you are my first guest from the WNBA, so I want to point this out. And the other thing I want to talk about, I know it's just so cool, because I've been championing women in sports just as a whole, but this is a great way to call out the distinction between the female athlete side and then there's the business side. Mm-hmm. And so both sides are equal parts need champions and outspoken voices, and there are a lot of women out there doing this. We still need more, but we're doing our part. So talk to me about what you're seeing and more detail about the last couple years, how there has been more of an explosion. There has been, and it is some of the women you mentioned, the athletes you mentioned, because they're becoming household names. Yes. But we're getting more eyeballs, and that's what's the most important thing. So where do you think this is all coming from?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think my personal opinion is a lot has changed since NIL has come to the forefront, and well-deserved, right? Because we've been using name, image, and likeness of collegiate athletes for a long time. I think, though, it rushed this situation in which there is no difference between amateur athletics and professional athletics anymore. It is all a big business, and it required us to accelerate, especially women's professional basketball. It has been and will always be one of the best longer standing leagues, and it made such a big splash 30 years ago when its inception arrived, but it didn't meet the same longevity that other leagues, especially men's sports, has. And I think NIL, as soon as that came to fruition, you saw the best of the best rise to stardom in such what felt like overnight. And athletes like Caitlin Clark, who just were absolute ballers on the court and still are, they're finally getting the recognition they always deserved. But not even that, it's just fun to watch. It's different than NBA. The fundamentals of basketball are more prevalent in at least the W right now. But I think for us, we met the demand that happened in the blink of an eye, but then there's so much appetite for it, and people want to see women's athletics shine. People want to see that intersection, especially, the NBA has been feeding off of it for years, inviting people like Sabrina Ionescu to the 3-point competition. Because they needed the eyeballs of a different demographic, and now we don't need that. We can just do it ourselves. In fact, we're doing it in Chicago this year for the All-Star game. So it's just a whole new wave, but I think it's almost like the domino that needed to fall. We've been waiting for it, and it happened quickly and now we have to react. So rather than being able to be proactive, we are now being extremely reactive, which is okay, but it definitely causes for a few developmental years. So I think, especially with the new CBA that was just signed, there's just a lot of change coming down the pipeline. All good change, but requires organizations to level up in a way that they might not have had to up until this point.
Oh, CBA, you guys were in it, man. You guys were in it. How long was that?
It wasn't too bad. I think we were in a lockout for a few weeks, really. Nothing as bad as I've seen in the MLB, for example. But there was a point where I think a lot of us thought, we are not going to start this season on time. There is just no way. But I think the athletes wanted it just as much as the league did. And if you followed along on social for any of this, they spent hours and hours and hours trying to get it done because they did not want to wait. I think that is the big difference about women's athletics. We women's sport, that we want to be out there. We want to play, we want to work, and they made it happen. So here we are, the biggest CBA renegotiation in history.
Yeah, it was cool. And what was interesting is you guys were going through it, and we had a lockout at our level in the ECHL, and that was right in the middle of our season over Christmas.
I can not imagine what that was like.
Oh, Marisa, you don't, like, and as the governor of the team, here's a little behind the scenes for listeners that don't know. Part of my role as governor, so that each professional sports league is governed by like a board of directors, but because it's a governorship, they call us governors. And so I was on calls, all the time, except Christmas Day, but then we still had emails coming in. And we were fortunate at the K-Wings because we were like smack dab almost halfway through our season. We did not have any home games during our lockout.
Oh, thank goodness.
But the teams that did, we still, from here, I go to summer league meetings, and there were teams that were affected tremendously financially from this, and it all ended up in a good place. And as a leader, I grew through it, and I imagine you did too. Did you feel like there was some growth for you in terms of having to sit in uncertainty and not have control and wonder what's next?
Yeah, and it's such a good question because in my personal life, I'm like that. I'm a ball of anxiety that needs to have all control for at least my life at all times. So when that bleeds into work, it's scary, especially as a director and a leader on my team. There are young folk that also were like, what's going to happen? Am I going to lose my job? What's next? And especially we're on a revenue generating team. So even more so, what happens if we can't bring in deals, if partners don't want to sign because they don't know if we're even going to start on time or if they'll get the most value in their assets. So I think it was a lot of sitting and waiting, which is really hard because as soon as the pen hit the dotted line, it was go right away. And then that's when you're in the 11th hour and you're like, oh shit, I have opening night in 2 weeks now and I need to get moving fast. So it was a lot of preparing for the worst and hoping for the best and meeting a little bit in the middle and getting my team, especially a lot of my team is younger. So conditioning them now of if you expect the worst all of the time, you will be in a better spot regardless of the outcome. So let's strap our boots and get ready to go because this could turn on tomorrow.
Yeah, keep expectations just low, real low, and you'll be fine.
It'll be great. That is adulting in a nutshell.
It really is. I learned the hard way. I don't know about you, but I had these high expectations and I got disappointed a number of times. I'm like, what am I doing?
No, 100%. I think that's like moving up the chains too. You just fight for that what's next, and then you get there and you're like, oh, I didn't actually want that. I don't want this. I don't want responsibility. I thought all the big wigs got to hang out and just chill. That's all they do in the office. Why am I doing work now? So there was a big kind of learning curve in that where I was like, okay, shit, this is the real thing. So let's get moving.
Tell the audience what the season is, how many months and how many games are in your schedule and all of that.
So we operate on almost the exact same schedule as Major League Baseball. So training camp starts in August with opening night, usually early to mid-May, and we play through to the end of September with playoffs starting September, October, and going through to November. So long season, and it just got longer. We just announced yesterday that the W for each team will have a 55 game home or season. 50 games, 55. I don't know. They just keep adding up. But so it's going to get bigger and bigger, which is great. With the expansion teams, we have to, and it'll turn more and more into it'll turn more and more into the big four that have more games. Like, I couldn't even imagine my friends over at the NBA or I worked in the MLB. We had 182 home games. It was a lot across the year. So it's just I'm living in a sweet spot right now. It's not NFL where I only have 17 games to worry about throughout the year, but we're in a good spot with about 22 to 25 home games. So it's been easier.
Yeah, that's not bad. Well, first off, I'll state the obvious. Hockey's it for me, and not because I chose it. It chose me. I can tell you one sport I will not work in. So, and baseball.
Yep.
No.
I know.
I mean, how did you do that? Like, these schedules are insane. Were you young? What'd you do?
For me, thankfully, the role that I had, I did not have to go to every game. So I was in the minority, whereas a lot of my friends on either the ticketing side were or operations were at every single event. And it's exhausting. And I don't think I could do it, because I even wake up in the morning now and I'm like, I needed about 18 more hours of sleep and I got to go through a full day. So it was a lot, but I was young. It was it was a job, not my first job out of college, but I had moved. I didn't have a relationship, family tying me down. I could go and be nimble, and I did it. And I'm glad I did it when I did, because I think if I went back to that world, I have expectations now of what it really is, the reality of working in the MLB. So I wouldn't be disappointed. I would know what I'm walking into.
Yeah, I mean, I always tip my hat to anyone in baseball, because it's outside. I know I'm stating the obvious, but for those of us who know how the sausage is made, that just adds another layer.
Nope. And as an SSRI queen, I have to take my Zoloft and I sweat. So I, even now in an indoor arena, walk around with my personal fan and everyone's like, there she goes with her fan. I'm like, do you want an angry Marisa or do you want an effective Marisa? Because we need it to be cooler in here. So I cannot imagine, like, working in Arizona, the Diamondbacks, no chance, Tony. It's not happening. Not happening.
No. Nope, you and me both. We're like, no thanks. So I love that. I want to hear your perspective on, because I'm going to say it again, even though you're in women's professional basketball. Mm-hmm. And so what is the makeup of the front office? And by that, I mean, I'm in men's professional hockey. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know what the statistics are with the league, but I know as a whole, professional sports, about 30% make up women in leadership roles as a whole in all professional sports. Now, when you drill it down, there's oftentimes I'm the only woman at the table. But how is it in the WNBA? What is the makeup of, and gender, I guess, is what I'm boiling it down to.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say there's way more diversity in women's sports when it comes to front offices than my experience on the flip side of it, especially for the WNBA. On our league calls, it feels so 50-50, even more like female driven than anything else. So it's just such a creative space where I don't feel like I'm the only woman at the table. I've been in rooms like that have been hard, and especially in our organization, we pride ourselves on bringing in a diverse pool of talent, and we have incredible women in our front office that really make up, I would say, more than half of our front office, to be quite honest with you, which has been phenomenal, because then it provides a better working environment. At least for me, I felt more encouraged, more motivated by my teammates around me, because I didn't feel like the odd one out in a room. I was listening to one of your episodes, and it's funny, somebody on the podcast said that they were told that they were too aggressive, and I still hear that every single day of my damn life, and I think I was born aggressive, and I'll be aggressive no matter what, but I'm working in a front office that gives us the landscape to be that, and challenges us to use it effectively versus using it negatively, and how do we improve rather than being told you need to be harnessed, you need to be minimized. I've been there. I've been told. I will never forget, one of my bosses in my career told my VP told her that I needed to be harnessed and that she needed to manage my abilities. And I learned right then and there I was never going to succeed in that front office because they wanted me to fit a mold. And I am somebody who, rather than fitting a mold, I make my own, and I figure out how can I bring people in my mold so everyone is like me. So I'm somebody who wants to cultivate that environment, and that we can do in the W, and it's been phenomenal. And all of our male counterparts are advocates, I would say. I haven't met one male leader in the W that was not an advocate for the sport and cared about the sport and cared about the women on the court that we are working for every single day. So it's just such a better space than anything I've ever imagined. I didn't know it was possible. Not to knock on the men's professional sports by any means. I've had great experiences too, but it's just a different environment that cultivates a whole different perspective of the fan experience and the work we get to do every day.
Yeah, and I knew when I met you, I was like, there's a kinship there because I'm the same way. Mm-hmm. I've always been, I'm too much, I'm too aggressive, I'm too, and there's only certain people that really understood me. Mm-hmm. And I just was like, this is just who I am. 100%. So I'm going to ask you a question that I guess get asked a lot. When did you learn to embrace this what can be perceived as negative, and you turn it into a positive? You're like, no, this is strength. Yep. How have you became confident in who you are?
Yeah, it's such a good question. And I think back to my younger self and how I've always been somebody who's true to myself, and I have so many people to thank for that. But I coached in college. I was the assistant to our linebackers coach and special teams coordinator at Slippery Rock University. And that program, I owe so much of who I am to this day to that program. I was the first woman that they had on the football operations side. They've only ever had women in the AT world or as trainers and that kind of staff, but never on the actual football ops side. And I walked in and I told them I wanted to help, and they were like, we don't do that. And I said, just give me an hour, let me prove myself. And I went through a strict hazing, but I knew that if I just showed who I spoke the same language. I knew to my core that if I was born in a different life, I would have been a linebacker in the NFL. So just give me a chance and I'll shine. Yeah. And immediately I think they saw that I knew what it took to be there, but on all levels, not just showing up every day to do the work, but I understood the mindset. I understood the grit and the grind and wanting to show up for the people around me every single day. And they really taught me how to shine, and they supported me in everything I did. I was in college around the time that Me Too took off, and I became a spokesperson on my campus for it. And my head coach brought me in front of an entire meeting with the entire staff and said, we are going to support her no matter what she does. Whether it's speaking on a panel, we're showing up. Whether it's going to an event, one of us on this team has to be in that room because we are going to be an advocate because she is your brother the same way you are hers. And that instilled in me that I can do this because there are people that will advocate for me when I am not in the room, just because they believe in me the way that I believe in them. And so I try to bring that leadership mindset to every team that I've ever been a part of, because it is not a one-woman show. It is not a one-man show. We need each other to grow. And I'm going to learn just as much from my counterparts or those who are older than me and mentors than I would from an intern. And we all have to do it together. So I think that is when I learned early on, I can be aggressive. I can be somebody that I know I am to my core, but I can also learn grace. It's just really fucking hard. Like I don't know how to do it half the time. I think my team loves me one minute and the next minute is scared, but I've been through that my entire career, and I'm learning how to level it all out. It is just difficult, but I at least was graced early on with the fact that I can be exactly who I am and I do not have to change, which I'm thankful for.
No, I think that's fantastic. And when you take challenges on, do you know what you're doing? And
No,
what I mean, no, you don't. Okay, I'm just
nobody
checking.
does. We're all
I,
bullshitting, hoping it works.
okay, thank you. But women hold themselves back, and this is one of the things I coach too. I write about in my book and all this. Like, you don't know. The first chapter is nobody knows what they're doing.
Yep.
And so it's just about, you don't, and I think this is where women get stuck. They think they have to know and then act.
Yep. Yep. And I am somebody who learned you just speak, and then I would rather be wrong and learn what's right than be the one standing in my way because I don't know what to do. I would rather throw myself into the fire and figure it out, because if I don't, no one's going to push me in, and if they do, it's because they care about me more than themselves, and that's not the world we live in. So it is a shame, though, I think, and that's why mentorship with women is so important to me, because we need to hear from each other. We need to not feel threatened by one another. I think sports for the longest time was a space where I never felt supported by my female counterparts, because everyone was either jealous of me, felt threatened by me, was annoyed by me. I was doing too much. I was all over the place, or whatever it was. And it wasn't comfortable. It wasn't healthy for a long time. And it was in the last like 5 to 6 years. WISE was a big part of it. We're creating a community of women that wanted to uplift other women. You find yourselves in the right rooms where you can be encouraged and not felt like you have to hold yourself back.
Yeah, let's talk about WISE. And I so wish that I lived in a bigger city because they don't have WISE in Kalamazoo. So tell everyone what WISE stands for. And then, because this is I send over a list of questions and I ask about 2 of them, and then I just ask what I find interesting. But this is one about how you lift women up, and this will tie into WISE. So explain to everyone what WISE is.
Yes, WISE is Women in Sports and Events. It is a networking group in which we bring women in the sports and entertainment space together to have conversation, to mentor, to celebrate, all of the things. And it is less structured, which is what I like about it, because I think structure can be intimidating when it comes to networking, especially going into a room where you might not know anyone. As friendly as I am, if I walk into a room and I don't know one single person, I'm like, where do I hide? Where do I go? I don't know what to do. Whereas WISE is so welcoming to everybody. And it is women that truly want to be there for one another and figure out, how can I help you get to where you want to go? What's something you're struggling with? How can we help? And it meant so much to me. Every single city I've ever lived in, I have been a WISE chapter member. And it has only ever gotten more and more impactful as I've gotten older, because you learn that it is what you make of it. And once you take control of your experience, it flourishes and it's beautiful. And what I love about WISE Within, which I'm the chair of WISE Within in the Chicago market, so I lead our mentorship program, is mentorship is one of those things that you can't really teach adults how to be a mentor or be mentored. You give them the resources, you give them the tools, and you do your best in the matchmaking, which is my favorite part. I feel like a matchmaker putting dating together. It's so fun. But like seeing them flourish in real time is the best, because it's like you just have to trust that they know that they're going to get there. And if they don't, that's okay. They'll use their words and they'll come to you and they'll say, hey, I need more support here, or haven't heard from my mentor at all. And I'll be like, well, are they in season? What do we got going on? Let's think through it. So it's this beautiful space where we get to truly be instrumental in people's lives, not just as like career advice and things like that, but a space that people get it. Because at the end of the day, people don't get the industry that we work in. And we're not curing cancer by any means, but it is hard, and you're always on, and you are go, go, go all the time, and it infiltrates every aspect of your life. So it's nice to be able to talk to women specifically who get that and have been in similar rooms where you can lean on one another, talk shit for a little bit, but then also celebrate other fantastic women in our space.
Yeah. Well, I'm not that far from Chicago, 2.5 hours, so I'll just be like...
Get on a train. Come on. We do all this fun stuff.
I know. And I love Chicago. I love coming over to Chicago. I mean, I don't care what time of year it is. I love the city. So
it's the best.
Talk to me about this side of, I call it servant leadership, in, volunteering your time, chairing the WISE Within committee, presenting at National Sports Forum, you're not getting paid for any of this stuff. So I want to point that out. It is of a servant heart. And so why is that important to you?
Yeah, for me, I I am only as strong as those who come after me. And if I want people that are good at their jobs and can help and really bring value, we need to mold them. We need to help individuals. And I've had the bad bosses, I've had the good bosses. I want to be one of the good bosses, but I also want to be one of the peers that helps others get through the hard parts of our job, because it isn't always easy. So for me, it is more so about building a more everlasting community of thought leadership and helping one another. I feel very strongly that we are better when we work together. So it is just something where if I want to be better at my job, I need those in the same mindset. And so it's building for longevity and for not as much for the now. So but I also just love people. I love understanding. I tell people I'm a connector, and I like to understand, where are you from? Oh, I know this person from here, or like, have you ever thought of this? And have you got like all that kind of stuff. So it's always the A plus B equals C, but then D, and then it just goes on and on and on. And that's what I love, is finding those bonds between people, and WISE is a great place to do that.
It really is. So if women in particular are listening to this and they work in sports, look up a chapter. They have them all over the country, typically in bigger cities, but you can also join. You just may not be able to get to everything depending on how far away it is, but check it out.
We do a lot virtually too. The mentorship program is a perfect example of that. So if anyone has any questions, if anyone's listening right now and has WISE questions, please feel free to reach out. I'd love to help.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I'm going to talk one more thing about sports, and then we're going to slide over to women in your life. But what advice do you give to young college graduates or anyone looking to get into sports? Because there are not enough jobs that there are people with this degree now. And by the way, I'm going to date myself. This wasn't even a degree back when I graduated from college. So I graduated 25 years ago, and this wasn't a thing. Now, I wouldn't have gotten a degree in sports management because it wasn't on my bingo card, but God had other plans, and here we are. But I know it's worked out great. But what advice do you give young people that want to crack into sports?
Yeah, I think intention is my number one piece of advice. You can talk to as many people as you want and put yourself in as many rooms as possible, but it's not about who you know, it's who knows you that matters. And I learned that very quickly. And I think being intentional about the conversations you have, being intentional about what you read, what information you become available to, how you spend your time. If you do it with intention, you will go farther in this space. And so I made it my full-time job to get the full-time job, and I did that early. So I didn't have the most conventional college experience. I wasn't the one going out with their friends all the time. I was the one showing up to practice when I didn't play the sport, because I knew that if I put in the work then, it would lead me to where I needed to be eventually. And so everything has been done for the longer term rather than the short term, which I think is hard when you're young, because you want to have fun, you want to hang out with your friends, you want to make memories. And those are parts of my college experience that I regret, but at the same time, I would not be where I am now if I didn't. And I'm a young senior leader, and that's hard sometimes, but I got here because I did everything with intention.
Such a great point. And I actually have never had that dialogue, and maybe we'll have to bring this back around in another topic, because I have always been a young leader too. Now it's not the case. I'm definitely more seasoned, but I was always the youngest woman leading no matter what industry I was in, because, and I didn't even connect the dots, so you just said this, I was doing the same thing. I was working, I was grinding in college. I wasn't doing the typical experience. And that could be what sets people apart. I mean, you and I are proof of that.
Yeah, 100%. And sometimes I have it leads to major imposter syndrome. I think all the time I'm like, I am not supposed to be here. Or my older mentors will remind me, you still got a long way to go. Or I remember when I was your age, and I hate hearing that, but at the same time it is true. And no one really tells you how to get to a point in your career where now, okay, my professional goals were everything I cared about, but now my personal goals are important to me. And how do I marry the two? How do I do this shit? Nobody tells you how to do this when you're in college, by the way. So now how do I become a real adult who cares about their family and their life outside of work and changing their identity so it's not just woman in sports? It's hard, but if you do, like I said, I'm doing everything I can with intention to hopefully help me get out of the mess that it is.
It is. It just, I don't want to rain on your parade, but this shit keeps getting harder.
Perfect. Awesome. Tempering expectations.
Well, you're already you run hot anyway, so by the time you get to my age and your perimenopause, you'll be used to the hot part.
Oh my God. I hope I'm long retired by then, reading books or something that people do these days, but maybe one day. A dream.
One day. Marisa, who are the women in your life that have helped you become the woman that sits before me today?
I think my biggest inspiration from a woman's perspective would be my mom. I didn't know when I was growing up that everything she did was for everybody else but her. And I think about it now, and if I did the work that I do today while also being a mother and a daughter and a friend, I don't know how she did it. I don't know how she still does it to this day. So I think in general, she is one person that I wish I spent more time being grateful for everything that she's ever done for everybody and not annoyed by just my mom. But as I mature, I learned that mothers are the shit. But I'd say that's one. Two, I had a professor in college, and she was the scariest professor I've ever had. And her red pens and her suits and everything about her was just the scary teacher. But I didn't realize that she signified what this space was going to be like as a woman. She was hardened from the exterior. She was tough. She was down to the point, very black and white. And it prepared me for a lot of the hard parts of this industry. And I am so thankful for her, because I think I would have been a different professional younger on if I didn't have that tough love soon.
Yeah.
And then I think lastly, my colleagues that I work with in this space inspire me and motivate me every single day, especially the other women on the WISE board, because they, on top of all of us having our own shit going on, we still show up at the end of the day for others. And that's hard to do, especially when the shit gets hard and people are not nice, and sometimes you just want to turn off and say, that's it, I've had it. But there's value in community, and they just inspire me to keep going every single day, to show up for the person that is inspired by me. So I keep trying to remember that in those moments.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. What a beautiful tribe of women that you're surrounded by.
Yeah.
What are you reading right now? Or what are you learning about if you're not reading because you're so busy?
I am somebody who, when I read, I'm trying to escape my reality, not like put that into like, oh, I'll read a self-help book or a book about leadership. No, I don't give a shit. I want to read to get away from the leadership that I have to deal with. So I just read a book called Phoebe Berman's Gonna Lose It. She's a 29-year-old who struggles with sexual anxiety and wants to lose her virginity before she turns 30. And it's so good. It's one of those like romance books, I guess, if you even want to call it that, but that showcases a different kind of protagonist, because I'm somebody with anxiety. I don't have that kind of anxiety, but I have debilitating anxiety, and I don't think they're well represented in modern literature and movies and TV. It's all like the perfect life, the perfect girl, the perfect guy, and it's so unrealistic. So to read a book about somebody that is so, I saw so much of myself in that, was such a breath of fresh air. I finished the book in 2 days. And I'm like, well, now what? I need another one. So I might read it again. But it was so good. It was written by a young podcaster. 10 out of 10, fun read. So it was awesome.
Okay. I'm going to have to say the title again.
Phoebe Berman's Gonna Lose It by Brooke Averick.
Okay. I'm writing it down.
Love.
I can't wait to read it. Yeah, and yes, it's always a mix, fiction, nonfiction. But right now, I'm definitely in a fiction phase. Like
Wow.
yeah, I just need to read something fucking else. So
I get it. I am right now. I'm more of a movie TV shower, and I just watched Game of Thrones for the first time. I literally
Oh,
just finished it, and I'm like, ugh, I am so mad at myself for talking shit on it for 15 years because it is so good. I
it's
need
so
more
good.
dragons in my life. I love it. It's so good.
It's such intricate storytelling because there's so many characters. And I can't even imagine. And I love to read, but I wouldn't even try reading the books
No,
because
God, no.
no, no.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
But you're right. The show, I remember when I watched it, it was my then husband, but he was real, and I'm like, nah, I'm not into it. And then one day he said to me, he was like, just try. And I'm like, okay. I sat down because he was rewatching. I'm like, you're gonna rewatch this?
Yeah, like
And
what?
it sucked me in. And I think it took us about 6 months to watch the whole thing, just because schedules and stuff.
Yep.
But it was so. Kudos
So
to
good.
you.
And then
That
the
was
House of the Dragon season is coming out soon, so I got to catch up on that. But no, it's been great. So I'm somebody that when I turn off from work, I don't want to think about work. So I try to indulge elsewhere.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And I love talking about things other than books too. So this is fantastic. Marissa, thank you for just being you, and being unapologetically you. I held so much respect for that as a woman in general, but a woman in sports and just the work you're doing. Mad respect. And I can't wait to see what's next for you as you continue to kick ass and do what
Thanks.
you're doing.
I appreciate that. And get down to Chicago soon. Let's connect. But of course, All Star is coming. So if you want to see the beauty of the WNBA in real time, it's this summer in Chicago.
What are the dates?
It'll be July 23rd through the 25th.
Okay. Is I could ask this off there, but I'm going to ask it while we're recording. Because it was in Indianapolis last year, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, and then the conference was at the same time, wasn't it?
Correct. Yeah, the
It's a,
WISE National
yeah.
Symposium. Yep. There's some talks about it being maybe in the Midwest again this upcoming year, so we'll see. But that's one that I've never actually been to the WISE Symposium, so it's something that I need to do this year, without a doubt.
Yeah, I went last year. It was good. It was really good. So that's why I didn't know if they always lined it up with All Star, but it doesn't
Yeah,
sound like
I don't think
do.
they do. So maybe I don't know, maybe it'll work out this year, maybe it won't. But either way, I'll see you at the WISE Symposium this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good.
Well, Marissa, people want to connect with you. Where can they find you?
LinkedIn, number one. I am a LinkedIn whore. I love it. I love networking. I love getting to know people and catching up on what they're doing. I have socials, but I'm more personally live on those. So don't worry about all that. LinkedIn would be the place to go. And then I'm a big trading card girl. So I collect trading cards. If you ever want to talk trading cards, you can follow Sports with Maris on Instagram. Because I'm starting a whole new chapter in that regard, but it is addicting. God, I love it
All
so
right,
much.
I'm gonna follow you. I'm gonna get once we get off here. That's
Amazing.
happening. I got to see what you're doing, girl.
Oh,
Well,
great.
it's a true pleasure. If you are looking to connect with me, I'm not hard to find. The hockey side of my life is at kwings.com, and then everything else I'm working on, the big project, Rebellious Success. My book is out now, so you can buy it anywhere that you can buy books. I know, it's birthing a baby. So
Congratulations. What an incredible feat to finally be able to say that. A published author. That's what I like to hear.
I know. Thank you. I'm pretty proud. So
Good. You should be.
all that stuff can be found at TonyWell.com, and I'm on all the socials too. Not hard to find me. And until next time.